Hello world, how are you? Welcome to the Ken Simmons Show, Area 58. I'm Ken Simmons, how about that? It's my show, and I'm Ken Simmons. Glad to see you, always glad to be with you. We're going to talk a little bit about education, but it's not going to be dry and dull. I promise you that. I've got a guest, I'll introduce you to him later, so don't go away. I want to talk about, I was with a friend the other day, and sometimes you don't know whether they're friends or not. Anyway, we're walking along, and he said, "You're not so loquacious today." And I said, "Define loquacious." And he said, "Loquacious is a talkative person." Wrong. That's wrong. I looked it up. I consider myself a wordsmith. There aren't many words you're going to trip me up on. But that one, I guess I had a senior moment. Loquacious means a talkative person that talks about trivial things. That's what loquacious means. Second definition, one who incessantly talks about nothing. That's what a friend said to me. "You're not so loquacious today." Maybe that's a compliment. I don't know. Anyway, think about that. In a few weeks, 2 weeks to be exact, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to have our 70th class reunion. 7-0. Think about that. Oh, by the way, it's the last class reunion. There will be no more. It's a reunion, a class reunion from a school called Stetson High School in Randolph, my hometown. And Stetson High School no longer exists. Stetson High School is now a town hall. We now have Randolph High School, which is enormous, much bigger than, I thought Stetson High School was enormous. I was afraid to go there. But we're having the 70th reunion. Anybody who has ever attended Stetson High School is welcome to come. And we've got, at last count, 62 people coming. It's going to be at a farm. The farm owner is donating his place, and it's gorgeous. It's like a place in Vermont. It's just absolutely beautiful. His name is Will Adams, and he was a member of the class of 1943. When he graduated high school, he went to war. He joined the Navy and fought in the Second World War. How's that for graduating from high school? You don't get that very often. And he's still alive and kicking. I'm very anxious to go there. My prom date, the girl I took to the prom, she's going to be there. She's 89 years old also. Isn't that incredible? I think it's incredible. By the way, my prom date owns Van Shoes, if you've ever heard of it. When I took her to the prom, she was a blacksmith's daughter, and he taught her how to shoe horses and do things blacksmith. She used to come to school with a little horse manure on her shoes. Didn't bother her. Look what she's done with her life. But she's going to be there. So I am, and you know what? I asked Area 58 if they would record it, if they'd come and shoot it. And they said they would. But Randolph Television, who I used to work for also, they're going to be there. Okay, that's it. I've said enough. I'm going to introduce you to my guest. We're going to talk a little bit about education and a little bit about pizza. So don't go away. Take off your shoes. Pour yourself your favorite beverage. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And I told you we're going to talk a little bit about education and a little bit about pizza. Pizza will forego for another time. The man that's with me now is a dignified guy, and I don't want to embarrass him in any way. I want you to meet now Scott Kneif. Scott, how are you?
Hi, nice to see you. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, thank you for being here. I know it's a busy time for you, and we'll get this half hour over as quick as we can. He's the superintendent of schools, as you know, and I'm aware that a lot of our public officials, a lot of our people that are important to us, we don't know them. I told somebody that I was going to do the superintendent of schools interview, and they said, "Oh yeah, who's the superintendent of schools?" Well, so we decided we'd like to introduce you to the superintendent of schools, let you know a little bit about him. Scott, how long have you been superintendent?
This is my third year.
Third year. You look so young to be a superintendent of schools.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice of you to say.
I had a superintendent of schools when I was a kid. This is the fourth grade now. This goes way back, the early 30s. And his name was Adolf O. Christensen. And it was winter time, and he came in a beautiful overcoat with a fur collar and a derby hat. And he came to speak to the fourth grade, which is what I was in. My fourth grade teacher had decided that on every Monday, we would give an oral talk on something. Mm-hmm. We could write it and read it. We could memorize it. That was up to us. But she wanted to get us on the stage in the classroom to talk in front of a class. A class of 25 people, I guess. In those days, we had classes of 40 people. Mm-hmm. Anyway, her name was Miss McMahon. I'll never forget her. And I gave a talk. My father had a friend by the name of Pete Trulson, and we could call him Uncle Pete. He owned a farm, and we used to go to his farm. We had goats and chickens and cows and horses and everything a farm has on it. So that was my speech, my trip to Uncle Pete's farm. And I gave a speech for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. And at the end of it, I said, stay tuned, because next week I'm going to have another episode of Uncle Pete's farm. Well, for some reason or other, that caught on, the fact that I was going to continue. And the superintendent of schools came. And he gave a little talk, and he said, "Is there a Ken Simmons here? Kenneth Simmons?" I said, "Oh my God, what have I done now?" So I held up my hand like this. And he said, "I want to compliment you on your oral talk." I didn't hear it, but Miss McMahon relayed it to me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you're going to have a continuous thing for a fourth grader is a little unusual, because they want to give the speech and that's it. They don't want to do any more. And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "Come up here." I went up, and I had I still got it. There's a little commendation. I think he typed it up in his office or something, complimenting me on my fine oral recitation. How about that?
That's impressive. You're still going at it today.
Still going at it today. Still loquacious.
There you go.
Married?
Yes. So I've been married for 23 years.
God, you don't look 23 years old.
That's what I say. So if I went to middle with the fourth graders, they would think I look old.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They'd be like, "Boy, the superintendent's an old guy."
You think it's because of my age? It's just you look so young?
I think it is.
No, I don't believe it. You are a young-looking man. You're trim. You're tall. You're good-looking.
I'll let y'all know how old I am. I'll give it away. So I'm 47, and actually I've been married for 23 years. 23 years. I have 4 kids. 4 kids? Yep. So my oldest daughter, Alexandra, is 20. She's at Mass College of Pharmacology, and she's studying to be a physician's assistant. And then my oldest son, Timothy, is going off to Wentworth Institute of Technology, which is right next to Mass College of Pharmacology in Boston, next to Northeastern. Wow. So they're going to be right near each other.
How old is he?
He's 18. He's going to study electrical engineering. I have a 13-year-old who's just going into the 8th grade, Joshua, and a 10-year-old, Jeremy, who's just going into the 5th grade. And now, Carver is the only school district I've ever worked in. So I was very fortunate. I got a job right out of school here at the age of 22, and I've been here for 25 years. So I'm actually starting my 26th year in the district.
Wow. Wow.
So I was...
You've been teaching school here for 25 years then?
Yep. So I've been in Carver for 25 years.
Wow.
So I was a social studies teacher, coached basketball, coached tennis at Carver High. And then I was the assistant principal at the middle school for a couple of years. Then I was the assistant principal at the high school for a couple of years. Then I became high school principal. Then we actually, in 2009, March of 2009, we combined the 2 schools. So the middle school and high school came together. And so in March of 2009, I became the principal of the combined Carver Middle High School. And then I became superintendent It was actually in March. I transitioned in the middle of the year. My career's been a little funny that way. I've very rarely have I started a new job at the beginning of school. Even when I was hired here, I was hired in 1993 as part of, at that time, was the Educational Reform Act, which changed how education was funded in the state of Massachusetts. And it actually brought a lot of state dollars into education, and a lot of districts were able to hire a lot of people. But what happened as part of that was there actually was a funding issue on the state side, and some of the towns didn't actually receive their money at the beginning of school. And so I was hired with ed reform money, but I wasn't able to start until the first day of the second term, so I started in November. So my first teaching job, I started November 2nd. I don't know why I remember that date, because I used to be a history teacher, so I remember the date. So I started November 2nd, 1993. I started here as a history teacher. Then I became principal of the combined schools in the middle of the year. I actually started that job in March. And I started the superintendency in March, because the previous superintendent, Elizabeth Sorrell, retired on her birthday. Yeah. So I became superintendent after Liz retired, but it was during the middle of the school year. So it's been a little weird. So some of my transitions have been happen in the middle of the year instead of the beginning of the year. So when you ask how long I've been the superintendent, I'm like, well, it's actually 3.5 years, but we'll say 3 years.
3.5 is good enough, yeah. Have you people noticed I'm doing very little work here? When he starts, all you got to do is ask him a question, go take a break. He'll continue.
Yeah, teachers like to talk.
That's great. That's great.
Show you out how to sit down with
the teacher. You should be doing what I'm doing.
Show you out how to sit down with the teacher and have them and say, hey, you want to talk? They're like, sure, absolutely. I'll talk about something.
You know something that bothers me? And it happened in Randolph, too. Mm-hmm. We are a community access television station. Yep. And that's exactly what it means, community access. The community has access to television. In Randolph, they used to come down and say, we did a reenactment of Shakespeare's Othello or Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. Why weren't you there with your cameras? We weren't there with our cameras because we didn't know about it.
Right.
I would love if you used us more, mm-hmm. because I think we could get out to the people. Tell them something that they don't know. Tell them something that's going on in the town. That's what we're all about. And that's why I do it, because I feel as though I'm performing a public service. Mm-hmm. And I'm a volunteer here, but make no mistake, I love it. It keeps me going. It keeps me alive. It keeps me thinking. It keeps the brain going. So if you need us, we're available.
And I think that I think Area 58 does do a lot of programming at the school, but certainly we can do more. Because I think our programming generally revolves around school events, concerts and graduation and celebrations and class day and those types of things. But maybe we could get more into the nitty-gritty, the classroom, what's happening. We could do that.
When we go to the next segment, when we start off, I'm going to ask you a question on the air, mm-hmm. and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I think you'll say yes. Okay. We have just got a very few seconds left in this segment, so I'm going to say to the people out there, I have found this very fascinating. We're going to talk more about what he does as superintendent of schools and what the superintendent of schools' job description actually is. So don't go away. We're coming right back. Okay, we're back, and there was a little problem, but it's all taken care of. I want to know from you, Scott Kneif, Superintendent of Schools, Town of Carver, what is the job description for a superintendent of schools?
Ultimately, the superintendent's responsible for everything that happens within the school district, but the primary responsibility, and what I always view as my primary responsibility, is I have to ensure that students are getting the best education they possibly can, that they're being challenged at an appropriate level, and they're being challenged in a way that meets their needs. And how do I do that? And ultimately, it's by supporting our teachers, our staff, and our students. So my role primarily is a role in support in terms of saying, what do we need to carry out our educational vision? What do the teachers need? What do they need in terms of space? What do they need in terms of curriculum? What in terms of in the facility? And that's my job to make sure those things are in place, and then I'm working with people to implement what we want to get done. And I can talk a little bit about what we want to get done. We actually have a tagline that I've put in as part of our vision or mission statement. And our tagline is cultivating empowered learners and responsible citizens. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to give our students a sense of power through their education. I'm a firm believer that ultimately, education is the greatest tool someone can have. And if someone can think critically, if they can interact and communicate and collaborate with people effectively, if they can read critically, if they can write critically, if they have these key skills. You talked about presenting in 4th grade. If they can present effectively, if they have these core skills, they become empowered learners.
Boy, oh boy, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more.
And an empowered learner can do anything. And we want our students to graduate believing that we can't, there's too much information out there. There's all kinds of stuff you can teach kids. But also you have to give them these core skills that make them believe that they can learn in any setting. And that's what I mean by empowered learners. So we're looking to cultivate empowered learners, but then also cultivate responsible citizens. We want people to be actively engaged in their community, in the United States of America, with their families. So there's that whole social dynamic of it too. And so that's where our theme kind of comes from and I'll repeat it because I like to repeat myself, of cultivating empowered learners and responsible citizenship. And ultimately, my goal is to make sure that the things are in place that we're really doing that students are graduating with those skills.
Man, oh man, I couldn't agree with you more. If you can communicate, if you can think logically, you've got the world right by the tail.
You can do anything.
Yeah,
you may not know what it is, and it may not, there's always that it's become a little stale now, that concept of, we don't know what the jobs are going to be 30 years from now because, technology changes so rapidly, life changes so rapidly.
Yeah.
But we're not really training. We're training students for those jobs. We're training students for that world because you always have to be a critical thinker. Whether it was in 1929 or today, you have to be a critical thinker.
Yes, you do. Do you think a kid should know, boy or girl, should know what they want to do when they graduate high school?
No. I mean, it's great if they do.
Yeah, if they do, it's
great.
A plus.
Right.
It's a plus.
Because
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out of high school. I still don't know what I want to do, and I'm 89 years old.
Yeah, a lot of people clearly evolve along the way, and there's a lot of people who you would have never thought that they would be a musician. I have a good friend who always showed in high school, showed a little interest in music, and I don't know if he, in singing, and I don't know if he, for whatever reason, just personally felt embarrassed by that or wasn't ready to be on the stage yet. And now, in his 40s, he performs all over New England. And you wouldn't have guessed when he was 17.
Is he doing well?
He's doing real well. You would have never. No, he's not a professional musician. But he didn't even show that side of his life when he was 17.
Isn't that something?
He's a professional. He gets paid to perform, but that's not his only job. He has another job. But he does perform all over New England. And he was my neighbor across the street, and you would have never guessed that at 16. And he probably would have never said that at 16.
Yeah.
But so I think that that's just one example. But I think everyone evolves, and if people know what there's some kids who graduate, they know what they want to do, and they go do it. And there's other people that they still need to find their way, but that's absolutely fine.
Well, there's people that want to do something, but they're so shy or introverted that they don't dare to do it. Get out there and do it. You can't make a mistake, and if you do, so what? If you make mistakes, my boss used to say, it means you're doing something. If you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything. I just love what you said about the thinking process, the logic, and get out there and do it. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, in the 4th grade, for example, 5th grade, 6th grade, I didn't come out of my shell till I was in the 8th grade. I was so introverted and so terrified of people, believe it or not. And even now,
I would have never guessed that.
If you invite me to a do, I have a problem with that. If something's going on in the school and you wanted me there, and the cameras are going to be there and I had a microphone, man, you got the best guy in the world. But if it's just a party, if it's just a get-together, I have a problem with that, even now. When I lost my wife, I had people want me to come to their homes for dinner and so forth. I can't do it. I can't do that. If I'm in charge, if the camera's there and the camera's rolling, and I got a cameraman like this guy, you got the best guy in the world.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for that. That was great. Now, I want to switch gears just a little bit. How about the new school? Are you excited about that?
Obviously, we're all excited about the new school. Well, look, this is a great opportunity for our students. I think the community is really going to be amazed when they get into the building. And I think they're going to be excited about what they see. The building is really designed around what we're calling flexible learning spaces. So there's a lot of spaces in the building, project areas, gathering areas, in which teachers might be able to approach education a little bit different way, a little less traditional than the desk in the classroom, and hopefully a little more interactive and employing some more real-life skills. And I think that's really essential, and the design of the building facilitates that.
Well, you're going to have an open house before school starts?
We are not. We're a little behind the construction process.
Okay.
We were supposed to have a grand opening on Wednesday, August 29th. I think I have the right date. But that got delayed because the destruction of the Governor John Carver and the Earl K. Washburn building was a little behind.
Okay.
So we don't have the parking lot done yet. We figured, wouldn't it be great to have a grand opening without a parking lot? So right now we are going to have it. Right now the grand opening is planned for September 20th.
Okay. When does school start?
So the school for teachers starts next Tuesday, and then it starts for students on September 4th. So the grand opening is actually going to be after the start of school. That just became the reality of what happened to us at the end of the project here a little bit. But that grand opening is going to be an opportunity for the entire community to come in, view the building. So it's September 20th, 5 o'clock. We invite the entire Carver community to come. We'll be excited to have people there.
Oh, that's great. Were you involved in the construction?
I was. So I've been involved in the project really since the design process. So the former superintendent, Elizabeth Sorrell, she started the process going forward and was on the building committee. But when Liz stepped down and I became superintendent, I took her spot on the building committee. So I was there for the second half of design and then totally through construction. I've been there throughout the entire construction of the project. And that's been an enlightening process. It's been an exciting thing to be involved in.
I bet it has. Yeah, I bet it has. You know, I want to ask you before we go off the air today.
Yeah.
I tried this a couple of years ago, a few years ago. Some time ago. You were not superintendent. Elizabeth was, and what I wanted to do was take 2 female and 2 male seniors with a diversified ethnicity, if possible, to sit down with me at a round table and discuss what they have learned in the Carver school system and what they thought of it and what their future is going to hold for them. Are they going to college? Are they going to become plumbers? Are they going to become electricians? Which there is a dire need for, by the way.
Electricians, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody doesn't have to go to college, but everybody has to have some way to make the daily bread. And I would like to talk to them with your permission and your blessing.
I would love that. I think doing something like that would be great. I think it would be a great
You
thing
do
to-
think
yeah.
so?
Oh yeah, that would be great to get their
I
perspective.
was afraid you'd say, no, we don't want to get involved in their personal life.
No, I
But
think,
you're involved in their personal
and obviously
life.
if students, obviously they'd want to have to participate. But if they're willing to do it, I have no issue with that. I think it would be great.
So how would I go about doing that? Now, do I have to see you first?
Yeah, between you and I, we'll just we'll work it. We'll set it up.
Boy, that's great news. I'm talking about when they're getting close to graduation.
Right.
I'm not talking about now.
Yeah, do something in the spring. That would be outstanding.
Oh, great.
And we'd love to have you in for a tour of the new building. We'd like to do that if that's something you'd be interested in.
What a nice invitation that is. I was hoping you'd say that because I think it ought to be on the record. We have a cameras and guys that are willing to do it, and I love to do this sort of thing.
Obviously that would give people an opportunity who maybe can't get to the grand opening, aren't available that night, don't have access to the school.
Yeah.
Give them that opportunity to take a look and see what it looks like on the inside.
On Channel 13.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
Okay. We've only got a few minutes left, believe it or not, and I got to say, you are one of the best guests I ever had.
That's
Because
very, very nice of you.
all I had to do was ask a question. You know your subject so well, and you're so articulate, and you're so young. You're so damn young. When you came in, you're tall. I didn't realize you were that tall. In my next life, I'm going to be that tall. So, if you have anything before we sign off that you'd like to say to the people, the floor is yours.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the entire Carver community for supporting the projects we've been having going on at the schools. So really, we've had 3 large projects over the past couple of years. Obviously, one, the building of the new school. Second, we did what was called an accelerated repair project at the middle high school. So that building has new windows, doors, boilers, and a new roof. So that's extended the life of that building. And right now, this past town meeting, the town supported a new track and field project. So that project's under construction. Substantial completion date for that is October 3rd. And we're hoping that this fall, every high school sports team will have at least one opportunity to play on the new turf field before the end of the fall season. And obviously, the community is going to have the access to that as well. So I'd just like to thank the entire Carver community for their support of the school system and the school district and these building projects that we've had going on. It's really revolutionized where we are as a school in terms of facilities. And ultimately, the facilities play a key role in supporting our students and our teachers. Moving on from that, just wish everybody a great, happy school year. We're excited to have the kids come back to school. And we in the school district looking forward to working with your kids and doing what we can to cultivate empowered learning and responsible citizenship.
That's great. That's great. I'm so excited about the new track and field because Carver's got a good football team. And that field is very old.
It was the
tired.
field and track were ready to be redone.
Okay, great.
So we're excited about it.
Is that CPA money going on?
Yeah, so the majority of that is being paid through community preservation. Yep.
You see, one more time, I'm going to say, what a great idea the CPA is. People used to, they were taught, I don't want to pay more, I got to pay enough taxes now. This is only, what is it, 3% of their tax bill?
I believe so. I'm not town administrator, so I'm not in charge of that end of it, but I believe it's 3%.
I have to
that's correct.
say, the CPA has done very well with that money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been great. Anything else you'd like to say, Scott?
No, again, thank you for having me here.
Oh, I can't thank you enough for being here because you give one thing, you give my show a little class. Not that the guests I've had before haven't given my show a little class. I've got the greatest guests in the world. But you were such an easy guest. Ask a question, sit back. And he goes. Loquacious? Is that a good word to use to apply to him? Oh, okay. I'm just, these are all rhetorical questions. They don't need to be answered. I think I know we have the best fire department in the country. I know we have the best police department in the country. Both of the chiefs are incredible. Now I've just discovered we've got the best superintendent of schools.
Oh, thank you.
He's young, he's a dreamer, which is great, he's articulate, he's excited. How can you ask for any more than that? I have some people who I respect have told me that we have the best school system in the country, and I'm beginning to believe that. So, okay, thank you, Scott Kneif. Thank you, you people. I hope you got something out of this, as I did. We try to do this so that it's good for you when you come home from work. You can sit down and watch your superintendent of schools in action. I am going to say goodbye, but don't think I'm saying goodbye forever. We're going to come back with another show, another guest. Until then, keep a song in your heart. Goodbye, and God bless.